things that they love, and just like spend that time together. Just literally slow down your family time together, because I think we also live in a society, right? It's a capitalist society. Everyone is rushing, everyone's hustling, everyone's working however many hours, and it's like, yeah, are you spending time with the people that you love? Are you getting to know them? Do they trust you? Like, can they come to you in a crisis? And, you know, we had a situation when my son, who's almost 15 now, in kindergarten, right away we were facing, like, what racism is in a school system. We ended up pulling him out of that school halfway through because it was such an insane experience. But for the weeks leading up to it, I mean, I was teaching full-time, pregnant with my second son, and I was just kind of, like, on this path where I was like, it's kindergarten, what could go wrong, right?
Welcome to TF3 Airport. Is what? 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 They say what we famous for. That's why I'm taking y'all on this verbal tour. First stop, Providence Place Mall, 3 floors of stores to shop for you and yours. Don't have a ride, you can take the Ripper. Anywhere you need to go, the bus will get you. Cranston, Warwick, even Newport, Kennedy Plaza, where you can find the ice court. Y'all know Brown University, famous. J-Dub, PC, you alright? Famous. Students from everywhere come here to go there. The capital's Providence, Dante is in your ear. Home of the Blue Bug, Iggy's and Thayer Street. Full of stores to shop on, places you can eat. Near is downtown P-Pack, enjoy a show. The Dunk Water Fires, other things you need to know. Can't forget Fat Hill for real.
Like, he went to preschool, he had an amazing experience. So my oldest son, he's half African American. His preschool, though, had teachers who were also black. So I didn't put 2 and 2 together that his kindergarten, it's like all white teachers, and the principal was white, all this stuff. And I was like, why are they saying this stuff about him? Why is he having these experiences? He's literally 5. Like kindergarten's supposed to be this, like, joyful time. It turned out they got him to a point where it was just like his behavior was like unrecognizable. I was like, why is he reacting in this like really extreme way?
What area of school was this in?
It was a charter school, and it was the first year that this particular school was open in Providence, and he ended up having much better luck just in the regular public school up until, thank God, in 5th grade he went to San Miguel. But it was just like, he really was just behaving like a regular 5-year-old. And we were having this issue where, like, I was going back and forth where I was trying to, like, make it make sense. And my husband had to, like, literally, he's, like, sent from heaven. He just, like, sat me down and was just like, none of that matters. We literally just have to be on his side right now. Like, that's our job right now, is just to, like, be there for him. And I think I agreed with him, but I think it took me, like, him sitting me down to tell me that. Because, like, in all of my life experiences, I don't think I had a grown-up in my family be like, we need to hear her story, we need to, like, be there for her. So it, like, took me a minute to make that leap. But, yeah, I just think having that relationship with your kid and knowing, like, they might turn in, like, you might work really, really hard parenting them, and they might not want to have anything to do with you when they're an adult. It has nothing to do with you. Like, don't take it personal. They're here for their own journey, and if you get to share some of that path together, amazing. But that's not, we don't own our kids. Do you get what I mean?
Yes.
And I think some parents get caught up in that, and I think some parents get caught up in the, like, oh, it's embarrassing socially, or, like, you know, you're gonna make me look bad when you do a certain thing out in the world. And it's, again, you're not taking it personally. Your kid is not necessarily a reflection. Like, they are their own people. So it's just kind of like getting on their own time and, like, giving them space. I would also say we need a huge, like, hauling out of the way we do education in general for so many reasons. But the biggest one is that giving that kids the autonomy. Like, kids are people. Kids aren't, like, people minus whatever year. You know what I mean? Like, kids aren't people like junior. They're just people. And it's like, they have our job is to, like, guide them and facilitate them, not to, like, make them do things, you know, not to be our little robots. So I think giving them little opportunities to like just facilitate and think things through. Kids are extremely emotionally intelligent, and it's the world that ends up, I think, breaking that down for them or getting in the way. But yeah, I've been witnessing so many like heartwarming things like in the classroom just this week. Like I had a student who was like, there was an outburst and he felt like a kid was like sick of him he broke down crying under a table, and here's like a crisis, there's a kid crying under a table. And I like, my instinct at first, I had to fight it, is like go try to fix the problem myself. And I just kind of like laid back, gave the trust over to the kids, went over to a group of girls that was just witnessed there and saw what happened, and I was like, do y'all mind like checking in with him? He's obviously not feeling okay. And they went in literally under like 2 minutes. They had him up and out under the table, assured that like, nope, you're still part of our community. They like went and healed that like themselves. Like they're just amazing. And it's like just kind of making an environment available for them, for that inner genius to come out on its own. But yeah, it's a whole like societal shift how we think about young people, and it's like it is changing, but not fast enough for me.
I didn't want to cut you off, but I want to address something that you did say. Well, in talking with parents, some parents didn't have. There's like a dimension, a dynamic, a climax, all kind of things happening. Because like when we was coming up, the community raised the children.
Yeah,
together.
it takes a village.
And
yeah.
If you notice, now things are becoming untrustworthy because of the bad behaviors that be happening within homes. And you could used to be able to send your kids over to sleep over somebody's house, and you didn't have to hear a bad report. It was always a good report, but now we got that. So some of the times parents don't even know how to be a parent because they wasn't properly educated to be a parent.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that when you were saying what you were saying, that's what, because it's like, if you didn't know how to be a parent, how you going to adjust to the child? How you going to address the child is what I was trying to say.
Yeah, that's a really good one, and it brings up, I think, like one of the big themes like in my life, and hopefully that came through in the book, is that like we got to break cycles. We got to be the ones to break cycles. Like we can't keep repeating the same trauma over and over again, and it's really hard. And it's like you have to kind of embrace the fact that like, all right, I don't really have examples, and I'm one to like say honestly and truthfully, like I did not have examples of healthy adult relationships growing up. There was a lot of domestic violence and abuse in my home, in the family, with my mom's partners. I never witnessed healthy adult friend relationships. There was like very rare, like I really didn't have that example in my house.
So you see right there?
Yeah.
Like, see, when you have that, you growing up, you see that, that could become normal.
Yes, and it does.
And then it's like another thing you asking, like, why would the parent allow this to happen? There was this lady, I don't want to say her name, but WP, when I say WP, mean white people. WP.
I love that, WP.
Gotta give that to my homegirl Sandy. Happy birthday. WP, she told me, she said that she was married to a doctor and things wasn't going right, and she had a son. She said she got out of that situation so that her son could have a healthy marriage that he had. She said she did not want him to witness the bads of a marriage, because that's not what marriage is. That was this particular marriage. She never got married again. Beautiful woman, like heart, like she encouraged me, because I remember some girl said I was ugly. She said, a beautiful young man.
Yeah,
I think,
there's nothing wrong with you.
It's like it was like God's timing with her. So that's and then I know another young man who's in his 30s who said he didn't even want to experience marriage because of something that he witnessed when he was 9.
Because it was so toxic.
And I'm
what
like,
he
9 years old shouldn't be thinking about marriage. So this is what I'm meaning with the dynamic is when you're in a household. That's because, again, as a man now, I see what my mother went through, and I see how it made her cry, and I see how my little sister turned out. And I said, you know what? That's one of the reasons why I don't have children. I'm not married, because I was like, I do not ever want to make a woman feel like my mom felt. I don't never want to see. I don't want to put a woman through what my mom went through. And I learned from that. So even though she didn't sit me down and told me what happened, indirectly she did.
Absolutely.
Because the fact of how I seen how it made you feel, I was like, I don't want to see a woman feel that way. So that's why I say when it comes to addressing and not knowing, and another thing, accepting the fact that my child harming somebody, killing somebody, doing something bad to somebody. Nah, not my child. I didn't raise my child. And it's hard for a person to accept that, where it's like, doesn't mean that you did something bad. It's just the fact of what was there surrounding. So that's why I mean there's so many different dynamics
there
when
are
it comes
different
to.
dynamics, yep.
And that's why we have these conversations. Because
Yeah.
the thing that, I'm not a parent, but I believe me,
Yeah.
people. I've been counseling kids and I've been counseling married people for so long that I heard every aspect. And when you just said that you came from a household that was abusive, so now did that persuade you into mate you chose?
Oh, I was totally on autopilot up until I had a divorce when I was like 26, and I think that was like the wake-up call, because I was like, I'm literally repeating the same cycle as my mom, and I did not want my son to go through that. I didn't want to have him have that as an example at all. So I was like, went through some really deep inner healing with that, where I was just like, I'm intentionally single for a year. I called it a man-batical. I was like, I'm taking a break. I was intentionally just taking care of myself. I was in grad school at the time. Yeah. And then I was just like, and it was sort of like, yeah, I'm gonna be lonely and sad and just like and free and just like feel through all the stuff that hurts. And I think that's part of it, is people would much rather run away from pain than feel through it. And that's like a really big problem in our society, because that pain is actually your medicine. Like, that's what's going to help you change and evolve and transform into what you need to be on the other side. But we have
Things.
yeah, there you go, perfect. But yeah, I just feel like that is something, like, people are not comfortable being uncomfortable or being in pain, and it's like, it's okay to be uncomfortable. That's how we grow. It doesn't feel good, but guess what? It's not permanent, it's temporary, and it's okay. And like, it's okay to acknowledge that, like, yeah, this shit sucks. I almost made it without cussing.
Nah, but you know, that's what editing's for.
Yeah, that's what editing's for. It's all good. But yeah, that's my point, is like, I think that was one of the biggest things I used for my book, is being like, yeah, all these like things that were super painful and traumatic, they actually made me who I was today. So I'm proud of them, and I'm gonna use that, right, as like leverage for the future that I want to build for myself and my kids.
See, people, this is the reason why we having these discussions. You are not alone.
He's gonna start singing now.
I'll move up. Nah, I'm just told you we gotta have fun. Nah, it's like, see, what she just said is, one, you should be healing yourself. It's like, that's the problem. Some people don't know how to be to themselves. They feel like, this happens, I need somebody to get over that. I call it the rebound.
Yeah.
It's like, and that's why I always, when I sit and talk to males and females, and I say, you know what, you're that rebound person. And the rebound person is the most dangerous person, because you could make or break that person, because they using you to get over something else. And if you do the same thing or whatever, that's why a lot of people go to the opposite sex. Believe me, I sit down and talk with them too on that. That's why I said there's so many different conversations that we're going to have. And that's why we're picking the brains of multiple people, multiple ethnics, coaches, male, female, whoever want to open up and speak on that perspective, we want to hear it, because in order for us to get where we trying to go, we have to first identify what's the problem. Is it education? Is it the government? Is it parenting? What is the problem? And until we identify, is it religion? Until we identify the problem, where is the solution? And that's what we're trying to come up with. We're trying to come up with a solution. So for us to know, it's like a house. If you know, when anybody know anything about a house, when you're building a house, they don't, if they was to knock this house down right now, do they just build another house on it? No, they have to tear down the whole foundation, because that foundation has to be properly put to hold up the next house.
Did you tell him one of the chapters in my book is called Foundation?
I told you I'm a writer too. I have a book called The Disconnect, but it's not about me, it's about you.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
And it's like, not because what you were saying, there's so much. That's why I said me and you got so much in common.
Yeah.
What you were saying is like, I have a part called layers, and I actually break down what happens with layers. So say if someone's molested, you didn't get healed from that. What you putting on top of that layer? Mm-hmm. What are you building on? Mm-hmm. So if a person meets you and don't know you went through that, and then that person is just you thinking they mad at you, but you had nothing to do with what it is that they never got healed of. Mm-hmm. And so another thing that you said that I want to address is children are like computers. Or I like to use this analogy. Get an empty bottle. Whatever substance you put in them is the substance they're going to display later on in life. Mm-hmm. So what it is about children, parents, is this. Whatever you teach that child in the beginning is what that child is going to develop and become in the end. And so when you sit up there and you like, why'd you come out this way? Why don't you go look in the mirror? Because the first steps start at home. Yeah. Before you send your child out into the environment, the first step is at home. What are you actually showing that child? Boy or girl? So that's one of the things that I don't think people really want to talk about. Like, I messed up. Like, if I did something wrong and I didn't do something right, guess what?
Yeah.
I want to be corrected.
Yeah.
So how can I be corrected? Correct me.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with accountability.
Accountability, but it's tough when we live in like a society like ours that's very like punitive. We don't live in a society that gives examples to how to be.
People that don't know what that word means, can you please tell them? No, that's my camera.
Like, what camera am I looking at? So we live in a society where if you mess up, there's like really big consequences, right? And it's like that may or may not match, right, the harm that was done. We don't live in a necessarily in a society or in a country where people are taught how to hold space for that person to find accountability and to be comfortable being uncomfortable and admitting that wrong. People have a lot of fear, right? It's like if I acknowledge this wrong, there's going to be like this really like bad consequence. A lot of people have that internalized.
Right.
It's really tough. Like if you've never been in an environment that just is okay with, all right, we make mistakes, we're not perfect, nobody's perfect. Like how do we heal this harm? Who really grows up in a house like that? Not very many people, right? So it is sort of like against the grain thinking, but we have to start thinking that way or we're just going to, like I said, keep repeating the same cycle.
I call it the hamster wheel. Mm-hmm. We're moving, but you're actually not going nowhere. Mm-hmm. So, summary. Based on everything we just covered a lot, this is a beautiful episode, people. It's
very like wide reaching.
It's not, because people going, episodes like this is why they got a rewind button or playback. In summary and conclusion, if you had a chance to make a correction starting today, because one of the things that people got to stop thinking about is if I could go back in this time, because if you go somewhere and try to undo that, you got to undo everything that comes after that. So you wouldn't even be the person you are today. So if today you had an opportunity to make adjustments, what adjustment would you start with?
Yeah, that's a really good one. Ink. I think a really big one and a lesson that I think the sort of like gem that I got through this like really hard writing process and all the editing and I was in therapy the whole time and I was like became like queen of public crying. I mean, it like spans like 4 generations. There's like a lot of things in there. But the gem, the sort of so if that was the layers of the pressure, right? The diamond that I got out of that was really valuing myself, and like that is how I'm starting to sort of see like in big and small ways, like my interactions with people, the boundaries that I'm putting, like who I'm allowing in my inner circle, being really strict and like disciplined about my writing time, like knowing like this is the gift I was given, and like no, you can't interrupt during this time that I have set to like work on that gift, you know?
Sound like Snow Globe King. You gotta watch that episode spontaneous to get that. If you watch the episode, you get it. Snow Globe.
He's just sitting there like it's like I'm not gonna say anything.
Don't edit this either. Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, no, that was it. Just like really valuing myself. Ladies, even gentlemen, whoever, like value yourself, like really, and like don't mess with situations, don't mess with people, environments if they're not valuing you, like if they're not treating you with the respect that you think you deserve. Be out. There's gonna be a better environment that does.
So, how do one value themselves? Like, how do they know if they being devalued? How do they know if... Because a lot of the times, if you don't know your worth, because remember, like we talked about earlier, if you come from a home that's broken...
That's right. That, you have to build that knowledge from scratch. I think for everyone, it's going to look and feel different. I can really only speak to myself. It was a feeling in my body. It's really a feeling in my body. It's like a gut instinct, like this person, this situation, I look at a message or a name pops up or I hear something, and if I'm like this, like no. But if it's a feeling, it's like, oh, I'm open, there's curiosity, like this is interesting, this is cool, then that's a yes. You know what I mean? So it's just like really developing that relationship with yourself to like feel what that is for you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is what we need to do. Number one, you need to acknowledge where you need help at. Find someone that you know can help you. So if it's not in your home, if it's not with a teacher, they got big brothers and sister programs. Maybe, I don't know if they still have those. Remember they used to have those?
I think they do.
Okay,
There's
big
something.
brother and sister programs.
There's all kinds of things.
Just find some form of help. And here, go to someone that you know you could go and build with, because everybody might not be in the best of your interest, but does not mean that everyone is evil or everyone is not good. Because again, I'm a good person. I'm in the room with good people. If you see us outside, we would be willing to help. I had a ex-girl. I really don't like calling girls ex, but a girl I used to deal with, and I like to say because she helped me develop and become the person I am. She didn't want to have kids and get married because she was a school teacher, and she seen what kids went
those
through.
were her. Yeah, that was enough.
And I used to always tell her, but our household won't be like that. But she just seen, like, I don't want to be responsible for someone else's life. So when she said that, I was just like, ouch. How do you even come back now? How do you even speak on something like that? But I'm just letting you know that, see, that's why we having these conversations, because people need to understand you're not alone and you can make a difference. Because one day me and Keem going to get in depth of me. And when I tell you my story, y'all going to be like, because one of the things I'd like to do is I like to play this game of like two people. Which one do you think is successful? And when I tell them my story without telling them my name and everything, they'd be like the other person. And they're like, what happened to that person you just described? You're looking at him. Because they were like, he should be dead or in jail or something. You're looking at him. And no, I ain't dead. I ain't never been in jail and I ain't got no record. So again, you never know. Because you know who actually helped me? Some young male. How you say young white male. YWM. Why? Yo, chill, let me be. When I was 10 years old, he actually sat me down, took some time in the class. Was it 10 or 11, 12? One of them, when I was going to St. Patrick's, he sat me down, played checkers with me. And I don't know, to this day, I don't know if he let me be him or he just kept playing me until I found the way to be him. But just that time, I still remember him, even though he's nothing to do with my life, but I still remember that time that he spent with me playing the checkers. And that was good enough. And so when I tell kids, when I'm teaching them, I'm like, he did that for me. I'm doing this for y'all. Somebody in this room is going to do it for somebody else.
You pay it forward. That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So y'all can't see Keem, and he's doing all this like he's trying to bring a plane home and everything. But again, is there anything you would like to say that we did not address? Because this was wonderful. There's just so much, like, I know people are going to receive from this. I'm like, it seems like every episode we do is getting better, better, and better. Like, yo, it got to be some divine intervention. Like,
absolutely.
Like, yo.
Oh, yeah. Our ancestors, our guardians, they're all on board. Right. Yeah, yep. I mean, like, you can't end without saying Palestine will be free. And I don't say free Palestine because no one has to. It will be free. Like, it will be free. Period.
Life and death is in the power of the tongue. I got you. Go ahead.
That's it. Palestine will be free.
Palestine will be free. All right. That's it. Nothing else. You don't want to shout out your book?
Of course. All Water Has Perfect Memory. Short and sweet. I cried a lot. You'll cry a lot. It's also funny. It's got 90s childhood, cute little references and things. Tupac and TLC references, because they were part of my foundation as a young person, how I like clung onto positive things to keep me going. And yeah, I highly recommend it. And you know, the first couple chapters, it does obviously go back to the history. It's multi-generational. It's not just about me. I have a couple chapters in the beginning that goes all the way back to my great grandma, and it does outline the history in like a really easy to read, digestible way for people who want to learn more about what's happening in Palestine.
You know, another thing, people, when I worked at Bradley Hospital, they asked me the question. They said, what do you think is the problem with this youth? I said, you want to know? Grandparents.
They don't have enough access to them. I agree.
Grandparents.
Our elders are, so I really do believe that like that village is so important, but like the multi-generational village is so important. And I really was so blessed to have been able to grow up with my grandma in the house with me. Yeah.
See how when she said grandma? I brought a smile on my face, and I'm like, I miss my grandma too. Both of I got to meet, well, actually I never met my father, but I got to meet my brothers and sisters' grandmother and father. I actually spoke at her funeral, and my mother's grandmother. So, you see, people, this is why this show exists. It's called The Other Side of Things. You get the other side of a person's life, other side of a person's mind, ideology, and eventually we're going to be in your living room, your office, or somewhere, your church, whatever, because again, we're going to talk to whoever will be willing to talk to us, because again, we're trying to get y'all to understand that you're not alone, one, and two, until we that's in a position to make a difference, make that difference, which what we doing right here, you won't see the difference. So thank you for tuning in. This is The Other Side of Things. I am your host, Dante, and my co-rider, he's behind the camera somewhere. Peace!
Thanks, guys.
I'm gonna keep it rolling while it's still rolling. So this Sunday, come on back. This Sunday, the sun's all in my face. This is not a good promo. All right, I'm gonna use your camera.
Want me to do the shade?
Sunday, no, I'm gonna use your camera. Sunday, you're gonna be sitting down here with this guy. You know him, Dante, and this lady that you're about to meet. I'm sorry, I was in your camera. Your camera. Your camera. Listen.
All the cameras. All the cameras.
Sunday? What do you mean?
So this is I'm gonna read a couple little sections from sort of my middle school years. I had neighbors who were siblings that shared the same last name, but I remember hearing that they had different fathers. It didn't matter to us. Most of us didn't have fathers around at all. They lived down my street, walking distance to the woods where most neighborhood kids would go. Those woods had a real tree house, not a primitive board of wood nailed to a tree like my old fort. Seeing them together, it surprised me they were related. The sister was a couple years older, but only a grade ahead since she had stayed back. Being around her, it made me feel like I needed to be tough and careful. I recognized my rage in her since it felt like she might explode at any moment, but I could be my full angsty self around her. I'd take out my stolen cigarettes and she wouldn't miss a beat, fully expecting me to have them and offer her one.